Hi, I'm Mary. I'm in the Tel Aviv area. My husband is mobilized. He's up north. My 3 kids all serve in the military down south in different areas. And I say that because when you talk to Israelis right now, that's part of who we are. How many funerals have you been to? Who do you know? Who do you know that's dead? Who do you know that's kidnapped? Who do you know that's affected? What I want to try and do is to give you a spotlight. I want to talk a bit about the Hamas plan, not because I want to play into it, but because we are countering it. But we need to understand a bit of that plan to understand both the resilience, amazing, of Israeli society, but of the overall horrific atrocities that were planned on purpose against Israeli society as part of the terror event, which is continuing. So I'm going to go through it systematically a bit later on in the program. For those who want, there will be a chance to ask some questions. Right now, I'm going in and I'm saying for myself and for you, what I'm going to say right now is hard. It's tough. Yes, you've heard it before. I'm doing it systematically. You got to breathe in deep. On October 7th, Hamas enacted a genocidal terror mega plan. It is unprecedented in history. It's unprecedented in terrorism. There's nothing to compare to. I'm going to talk afterwards a bit about that 3.5 weeks, but the plan itself for Hamas is playing out, not necessarily in the way they wanted to, but it is playing out in 3 stages. The first stage was to come in with an immense amount of terrorists, never seen before, over 3,000 terrorists coming into Israel proper and simultaneously attacking over 35 different Israeli Jewish communities and the music festival. I say all of that up front because every single one of you know one of the communities, the kibbutz or the moshav or Sderot or Ofakim or somebody from the music festival or the Bedouins who live down. Everybody is around there. This isn't something that is just specific. It is the state of Israel. The Hamas plan was to go way deeper than they went. So in that sense, as I'm saying, this isn't about yay for us. I just want you to be aware that the plan itself was to come in, murder, kill, torture, burn, and all of the additional terms that I just don't want to talk about right now. That was in the plan. But the reason that was in the plan was to create chaos and terrorize Israeli society. To create chaos and terrorize is what Hamas wanted to do. So that first stage on purpose is to come in, to do it simultaneously, to do it in such a way where you're murdering people. They came in also in Israeli soldier uniforms. They took soldier uniforms off soldiers that they killed. They did all of that to add to the chaos, to the horrific atrocities that they committed on October 7th. Behind them, part of the plan, and as I say, that's part of the chaos, came in what I'm going to call the marauding mob that killed, tortured, and burned even more. Within the plan itself, different segments were told only to kill, and other segments were told to take hostages. Hamas have done a plan that is so unprecedented that in each portion you go, that's something of terrorism, but no Hamas, no organization, no terrorism in the world has ever done something like this, that combined burn the earth, torch the earth in the most horrific way, take the hostages, because let's get to stage number 2. Stage number 2 of that Hamas plan, which is part of what you're living right now overseas, it's a dual stage, is that from Saturday night already, initially they uploaded both in the social media, in the different channels, Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, both the atrocities themselves, but what they were showing from the Hamas perspective is how they are going at the heart of Israeli society, because I'm going to expand in a moment on us. Meaning, look, the Israelis are weak. Look, the Israelis are falling apart. Look at what we did, and so proud of themselves. And they uploaded that all of Saturday the 7th. Saturday night the 7th, and towards the 8th, as part of a pre-plan, Hamas have been systematically already then removing the uploaded content, stating from Saturday that all that they attacked is the military, that what they did is a military attack against the military because they are the resistance and they are doing this to save the Palestinians. And that has been what both Hamas have said, but that has been, and it's the hardest part of everything going on, that as part of the pre-plan, they put out such a position that in the last 3.5 weeks, Israel has to prove that the atrocities happened. Here we are, still trying to understand the depth of the 1,400 people that we don't even know who they are because they were burnt to crisp, because they were tortured, mutilated in such a way. And they immediately, already from October 7th, 8th, took off the material and have given a completely erroneous way so that people like Queen Raina or King Abdullah of Jordan say, yeah, they say President Biden said something about a baby. I haven't seen it. That's part of the plan. I'm on purpose not giving the really horrific details. I just find it I'm at the stage where I can't anymore. I can't do it to you. I can't do it to us because we know it. But to me, what's important is that the Hamas pre-plan, which included, as I said, the atrocities as part of the plan, the taking of the hostages as part of the plan, the denial and the changing, lying story of what happened as part of the plan. And the last part that we're all living right now is that over the last 15 years, and these are things that we've talked about in the past, Hamas have built the entire Gaza Strip as an above ground urban area, all fortified, booby traps, anti-tank missiles, IEDs, explosives, suicide drones, all of the different capabilities, none of them, excuse my wording as a military person, exceptional or advanced in military terms, but you don't need that. It is the simplicity of using a heavy urban area where the sniper can be on the 3rd floor, or on the 2nd floor, or on the 10th floor, where the anti-tank missile or the RPG can be from the ground, and all of this above ground. And in the underground, as we all have known for many years, that subterranean tunnel system. Israel, from 2014, cut the subterranean tunnel system from coming into Israel. We called those attack tunnels. They didn't come by the attack tunnels. We nipped those. They came in a very different way. I'm not here, I don't want to expand now on what they did. It's an intel gathering information to go across all of the different Israeli defenses and doing so also, of course, completely surprising us, as we all know. But I want to focus for a moment on the Israeli response and on Israeli society. October 7th is October 7th, but we're now on November 1st. And the Hamas plan is continuing because that last stage is presenting themselves as the defenders of the victims, and the victims are the Gazans in the Gaza Strip. And I say that up front because what that has brought out over the last 3 weeks, and this is, I'm being cynical and I apologize, I shouldn't be, but I can't not be. This is like the added bonus for Hamas has been the overt, horrific anti-Semitism that has come out worldwide as part of that plan. Okay, I'm putting it out there right now. It's where we are right now, and it is as we continue. What happened inside Israel on October 7th, that first initial day of chaos, of atrocities, of everything going on in the Hamas plan, successful for them in the sense that they managed to create certainly the chaos, and that we are 3.5 weeks later and our society still doesn't really know in that sense who are the dead and what are they doing. But there's the flip side of that, because both the Israeli Defense Forces, the communities themselves have been decimated. You know those communities. Entire communities in the state of Israel in 2023, when I say they've been desecrated, it isn't even that they were burnt down. It is the fact that they were full of the dead bodies of the people of the communities, that the safe rooms became the crematoriums, that the whole plan in that sense, as it was, is something that was done to hurt Israeli society at the most, it's not even a question of the most vulnerable way in every segment of society. The attacks themselves on the 7th itself were simultaneously on a variety of different types of communities. Kibbutzim, some of them that you've heard of, Be'eri, Nahal Oz, Nir Oz, Kfar Aza. I mean, every single one I say of those ones, and it's my friends and I don't know how many funerals you have and where you've gone to, but in every single one, doing a selection of both killing, taking the hostages, and then burning it and pillaging it and desecrating it. And that's something that needs to be rebuilt. Kibbutzim, Moshavim, community villages. into the city of Sderot, a city which is a development town, into the city of Ofakim, a city that is a development town. These are the vulnerable development towns in Israel already up front, coming into the streets themselves, firing, murdering, killing, pillaging, and going back to the Gaza Strip, both with the hostages, but using the hostages as their asset. That's how they view it. And the citizens or the civilians, and yes, including in that supporters, strong supporters of Hamas throughout the Gaza Strip, as their protection from both Israel, their protection that the world gives them, in the fact that what can Israel do in responding when the entire defense system of the Hamas genocidal terrorists is built in the urban area that has approximately 2.2 million people. The destroying of Israeli society is not something that happened on Saturday. This is what Hamas wants to achieve. And this is where, as I'm talking to you, I want to say, I'm breathing in deep. We're scared right now. That's something new. Israelis who are we rely on our security forces, we rely on our intelligence forces, we rely on us to be the ones who give that early warning, and we failed on October 7th. But we have to remember who Israeli society is. The Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli intelligence community, civil society on the whole, from October 7th is the one that is responding. It is out there. It is trying to help. But when I say trying to help, for the first time ever in the state of Israel, we have 250,000 Israelis, when I say dislocated, that have either all of the communities and the remnants of the over 20 communities from the south that cannot go back to their homes, and there are additional moshavim, kibbutzim, and communities that cannot go back there. They're down in Eilat, they're in hospitals, they're out in the Dead Sea, they're communities. They've lost everything. They came out of there literally with what they were wearing, which for most of them was pajamas, because this started at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. That the society itself, as it went on and out, is still trying to understand who is dead, what can you do? Every single one of the individuals now that was out of those communities doesn't have anything, but let's add into it. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, evacuated additional communities that both withstood that initial attack, but because they're within the range, all of this has been happening with endless rocket and mortar firing, still at the communities down south, including all the way up north. We get it once or twice a day, other places otherwise. So we have Iron Dome, we feel better, but there have been casualties and a lot of different types of things that have happened also because of that. The hostages. I have nothing good to say. There is no happily ever after. I hope that every single one of them comes home. All of us have to understand that it is the worst scenario case that a terror organization plans and takes 240 people from their homes and from their beds, does not get out any information about them. And what they're saying, of course, is that it was a military attack. They're being told you have a 9-month baby, you have an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor. It's a military attack. They haven't given out any information on what's there. My hope, my understanding of a terror organization is that the hostages are an asset. I'm going to be rude and cruel and ugly. They're not an asset if they're dead. Having said that, the hostages are a psychological media aspect, and they impact every single one of us. We talked endlessly about the 2 women who were left out, about the 2 additional women who were left out, instead of talking about the 240 that we know about that are still there. When Israel rescued, didn't release, we rescued one hostage for a moment there, we stood a bit stronger. We need to remember 240 still held there. They are an asset. I don't think Hamas right now are going to kill hostages. I don't. But you need to be aware that when they did their genocidal terror attack as part of the plan, breathe in deep, they took dead bodies with them as an asset. Why is it an asset? So that it will impact every single one of us, because we don't know where those people are. And they'll be able to bring them out and say, Israel killed the hostage. It's horrific beyond words. The resilience of civil society. When we're talking right now about 250,000 of Israelis who are dislocated, in the attack itself, the expectation inside Israel had been that an attack like this was expected up north. Not that it makes it any better or worse, but because of that, in the aftermath of that attack, with Hezbollah slowly testing the water, trying it out, do we know or know not if Hezbollah in the north will join? Israel, as a preemptive action, has dislocated, has moved an additional amount of tens of thousands of people. The city of Kiryat Shmona, the city of Sderot, large portions of Ashkelon. We have, as I said, 250,000 Israelis at hotels at different places. What about jobs? Where do they have incomes? What do you do? Where do you get the food on the one hand? How do you go to school on the other hand? And how do you take care of the vulnerable? And the state of Israel in that sense, and civil society in Israel in that sense, here I'm going to say, and I say as an Israeli right now, it's not Charles Dickens, okay? There is no the best of the times, okay? It's only the worst of the times. But if there is one aspect which gives me, I can stand up and I can state clearly, is that we are survivors. We are not victims. We are here with you to get through this on an individual level, on a community level, for the vulnerable. We're doing it as a society right now. We're doing it as a society, and we know that you're there with us. Otherwise, as a society, I think that we would feel completely abandoned right now. That Hamas, very insidious aspect of not only denying, but taking off the content and making us be the ones who has to prove that we have to prove the atrocities and prove what's going on, at least with when I'm talking with the people who are part of the state of Israel and understand who we are and know all of the different challenges, at least I don't have to prove that here. I'm grateful that I get the chance to be able to talk to an organization like the Joint that has been at the forefront of helping Jews worldwide always. We're not usually the really needy ones here. We always love it. Right now, state of Israel, we need. And I really am grateful for the chance to be able to talk to you. And I hope that you all stay safe.